When you live where we live, winter seems so far away when you're right in the middle of summer. But let's get settled in and cozy because I've got a special project for you from L&J Goods using our custom Flakes of Snow stencil.
You know I love this Flakes of Snow. And this is called Little Whale. It's a fusion color and it's just a very pretty little icy blue. And I am stenciling with soapstone, which is a kind of a blue gray. And then I have a nice bright white. This is Fusion's Picket Fence. It's the brightest white. I have used the Blitz mold. And yes, I threw in a few of our snowflakes mold from a couple years ago. But we cast all of these in resin and then gave them a coat of white picket fence paint. Then I'm going to show you this magic that is occurring here. I don't know if you can see it. Look at that. Okay. Start with masonite as our background. I am just giving these a coat of picket fence or whatever white you want. I prefer to use a paint that has a built-in top coat for this, because if I were to use my Debbie's DIY before I add the next step, I would have to seal this, and I just don't want to have to do that, you guys. So this has a built-in top coat, so I can just do my next step, which is going to be applying a glaze. I am just going to take my paint and I'm just going to start to apply it over my board here. Okay, and this is going to take a couple of coats. You might want to base coat yours in white first, but I want it kind of slip-slappy, like the idea of a wider frame, and you'll see why. But certainly you could cut a piece of plywood and do the same thing as long as you leave a border to be able to place your snowflakes around it, okay? Let's set this aside for a minute and prepare our snowflakes before we move on. Okay, so what I did is I plopped some clear glaze in here, and then I plopped a little bit of some paint in here, maybe about a tablespoon of glaze to about a teaspoon of paint. And then I just mixed it up. It will make a transparent glaze is what it does. Have a damp paper towel handy. Brush this over my snowflakes. It does not have to be perfect. Now I have a damp cloth here, and I'm going to wipe back the excess to reveal, and I know it's probably going to be a little hard to see, but I'm just wiping back the excess and letting that glaze kind of sink down in. And then we're going to be doing another layer of glaze over top of this to create even more depth. I'm going to use my Debbie's DIY Old and Gray Barnwood Patina. So I'm wetting my brush, I'm dipping it into the Old and Gray liquid patina, and I'm just going to gently kind of wash over my snowflakes. And have a baby wipe or something, a paper towel, a cloth handy, so that you can wipe away the excess. But what it does is it just creates even more variation. Okay, so look at that subtle shift. Oh, I cannot wait. This is my soapstone. When I stencil in the cap so that I don't overload my brush. It's really important with this to work with a very dry brush. Offload. We can always add more, but I'm offloading to distribute the paint and remove the excess. And honestly, it's like when I brush it on my hand, there's not a lot of paint in my brush. And you can tap, you can swirl. I always recommend on these little parts and pieces, hold with your left hand or right hand, whichever you happen to be using, and make sure you hold that down. And I tend to tap here instead of swirl so that you're not moving those little delicate pieces around. You can see we've just, look at how pretty. Look at that. Pretty. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to overlay this with some of our ice crystal paste. This is a really thick, transparent gel, and you want to really mix this up good because sometimes the glitter, the little ice crystals will sink to the bottom, so you do want to make sure that you mix this really well. But look at that, it's transparent. So when it dries, it gives you a little bit of texture, and lift where you put it, and then it has this beautiful little shimmery sparkle. I'm gonna offset my stencil just a touch. So I'm gonna shift it over to the right. See what happens? Line it up where my original stencil is. And then I'm just gonna shift it to the right. Maybe about, I don't know, maybe it's a 1/16 of an inch. Just a hair. Yeah, just a little bit. It's just one of those subtle changes and shifts that will bring this even more dimension. So then I'm gonna take my blade and I will start to work this over my stencil and fill in. We are going to take some diamond dust or your favorite very fine glitter, and let's do it. While this is wet, I am going to sprinkle right over top of this. I'm keeping my stencil right on there. I'm going to lift it straight up, and then I'm going to dump whatever excess I can because I want to save. All right, I am going to give this another quick coat of white because this has been white and then gray and then white again. I want to add just a little bit of shading around the outside of my board here. I'm going to start to glue these in place. Now we're going to get your hobby glue or your liquid patina, whatever you use. We will crust these up with some diamond dust. This is some coarser stuff. But oh my gosh, is it pretty. We'll stage this with, we have beautiful like pom-pom garland, and I think that that's going to be so pretty. But what a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I'll shake off this excess glitter and it will be so sparkly and pretty and beautiful.
We are so thankful that you've joined us here today. And before you leave, we'd love it if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up if you like what you see here. You can find everything that I used at our brick and mortar shop in Medina, New York, or at lnjgoods.com. L&J Goods is located in Western New York between Buffalo and Rochester.